Hello and welcome. Let me say something about these sessions here in this beautiful cinema. They're a little more intimate than on the main stage. They thrive off your questions, both at home or in your offices around the world, or here in person. So please do be ready with your questions. In these spaces over the next couple of days, we're not going to be afraid to talk about the challenges, but also lots of the positives of technology and digital well-being. So that might be in education. It might be in inclusive technology. It might be a session tomorrow on radically positive gaming. So please keep coming back to this space. Let's develop the conversation together. That's what it's all about. Right, here's the big question to open up our spotlight stage. Does technology help or hinder our creativity? It's a massive question, and we have got an absolutely world-class partner for this session. It's an organization I really admire, based initially out of the United Kingdom, called DebateMate. And to set the scene and to tell us how this debate is going to play out, please give a huge Sync Summit welcome to the person who leads DebateMate. It's Scarlett McCabe. Welcome, Scarlett.
Salam alaikum. Sabah khair. How'd I do? Is that all right? 5 out of 10? What do we think? Yeah? A few thumbs up. Thank you so much for that really warm welcome, Ollie. Lovely to see you. Welcome to the first of the spotlight sessions on whether technology helps or hinders creativity. Now, we've got a slightly smaller number in this room than in the main room, but that means that everyone's going to have way more opportunity to listen, to get involved, to ask questions if you would like. I'm going to ask you all a question now. You just have to do a show of hands. You don't have to say anything. Have any of you ever done a debate before? Taken part in a debate? Yeah, arguments with your spouse at home count. Yeah, great. We've got a few up here. Great. Was it at school, uni? University. Cool. Okay, so we have a few people at the front. We may have to get you up here in a minute. No, I'm joking. But for those that don't know what a debate is or why we're even here today, debating is a way of discussing ideas. It's not an argument. It's not a fight. It's essentially a discussion with rules. And it stems from, sort of Greek times. It actually has major background and cultural background in the majlis format of discussion, right? It's something that sits cross-cultural, cross-boundary. But essentially what it means is that we take an idea and we take a topic and we discuss the pros and cons of that topic with a view to then people coming to some kind of agreement. Now, at DebateMate, we're a British organisation, but we work across the world, and we teach people from the classroom, so from 5 years old, all the way up to the boardroom, so CEOs, heads of state, even Premier League footballers. We teach them how to communicate using debating. Because being a good communicator isn't just about public speaking. It's not just about doing this, although this is great. But how often in your day are you speaking in front of 300 people? Probably not that often. Being an effective communicator is about listening. It's about understanding. It's about being able to ask questions. And that is what debating does. Now, we've got an amazing, amazing panel for you today. 2 women who are really exceptional in the space of technology, creativity, innovation. And they've agreed to take part in a debate, which I think is super brave, and it's going to be really, really interesting for us here. So what's going to happen is I'm going to invite them on the stage in a minute, and each speaker is going to have about 5 minutes to advocate their case, to say why they think technology helps or hinders creativity. After they've spoken, I'm going to come over to you. I'm going to ask you what you think, if you've got any questions or any statements you would like to ask the guests. Now, they're not going to respond straight away. They'll respond after the Q&A. So when they're speaking, have a think about anything that you would like to ask or any gaps that you see in what they're saying. And then they'll close, and then we'll come back to you. But before we get started, I'm going to ask you all to give us an indication of where you stand on this debate, whether you think technology helps or hinders creativity. So, I think it's a soundproof room here, isn't it, Stephen? Yeah? Pretty soundproof? Okay. Great. Hope everyone's vocal cords are warmed up. I'm going to ask you, in traditional debate mate fashion, we're used to working with young people. We get people to shout, to scream, to clap, to cheer, to bang the table, bang the floor if they believe something is true. So I'm going to ask everyone on the count of 3 to give me some kind of indication of whether you agree or disagree with the topic. You can clap, you can cheer, you can stamp the floor, you can wave, whatever you want to do, but I need some energy in the room, okay? So on the count of 3, if you think that technology hinders, no. If technology helps creativity, make some noise. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, not bad. If you think technology hinders creativity, make some noise. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think we might need a technical solution to tell me there whether that was for or against. I think it was just for the proposition on saying that technology helps creativity. So let's see if the speakers do a good job of persuading you otherwise. So I'm going to go and sit here at my chair, and I'm going to ask everyone, please, to give a huge welcome, big round of applause to our 2 speakers, who I'll introduce in turn when they stand up to speak. Can we give them a huge round of applause, Asma and Ariana? So come, Asma, you sit here. Okay, so on my right, your left, we have Asma, who's going to be speaking for the motion, so in proposition, saying that technology helps creativity. And then on my left, your right, we have Ariana, who's going to talk against the motion and say that technology hinders creativity. So our first speaker is Asma. Asma Shabab is an innovation advisor. She's had an incredible career at IBM and Accenture and is passionate about the intersection of emerging technologies, so AI, Web3, the metaverse, and where that intersects with inclusion, equality, accessibility. She spent the last 12 months traveling with her young child, which I've got 2 young children. I can't actually imagine anything worse. But she went to 17 countries, which is amazing. You should check out her Instagram. She's done some really good job of connecting technology and creativity. And I asked both speakers who their favorite creative was. And Asma said her favorite creative from history, anyone, it could be anyone, you know, an artist, a writer, a poet. She chose Khalil Gibran. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Asma to go up to the podium to give us her case. Give her a big round of applause, please.
Thank you, everyone. Great to be with you today. Thank you, Scarlett, for that lovely introduction. And Ariana, I'm looking forward to some verbal boxing with you today. So this is the first time I've been at an event after my gap year, which was amazing. And I'm really looking forward to, talking about the stories about creativity that, I've witnessed. But first, let's go back to the topic of creativity, right? And also, let's get to this alignment of what do we mean by creativity, right? So creativity really is the expression of imaginative thoughts, as well as the ability for you to create value and generate opportunities. It's about brilliant ideas, but it's also making sure that those ideas create impact in your constituencies and in the audience around you. Now imagine a world where you've got brilliant ideas, but they're all trapped in the minds of the creator because there is no tool that is available for the ideas to be unleashed. How paralyzed would we feel as creators? And that is exactly what technology does and helps us to do. It breaks those barriers.
Point of information.
We'll get to you, Ariana. Just started being on a roll, but yeah, we'll get back. I like your enthusiasm, so hold on there. But yeah, so this is what technology has done really right now, that it has broken those barriers and given us the tools, the enablers to reach our potential and create stuff that we are excited about. And I'll be showing a lot of examples. I'll just be proving this with a lot of real-life case studies. Case in point, Omantel. They created, so we know the Arabic language is a complex language. There are 12 million distinct words, very uniform characters. So it's, for dyslexic people, it's very difficult to read and write. Omantel used AI and research to create a new font called Makru. It helps And it makes it easy for people with dyslexia to read and write. So now they are able to really achieve their true potential. We all know the story of Huda Katan, the beauty mogul. She used to work in finance, but she was passionate about beauty. And she created a blog on Instagram and started posting tutorials of her just makeup tips. Come in 2023, she launched her brand Huda Katan, and because of Instagram, she had millions of people following her, and she turned that opportunity into a billion-dollar brand. Both these stories exemplify exactly how technology is helping creatives really take advantage of their opportunities. Technology is acting as an enabler. When I was thinking about presenting to you debate topics, I thought, oh, should I go far-fetched? Should we talk about biohumans, chips in the body? Should we talk about AI and how it's being used to transform the world? But no, I thought, you know what? Let's really talk about how technology is helping normal individuals be creative. And I will go back to my experience with this gap year, because my husband and I, with our 3-year-old, we spent 12 months, almost a year, in the countries of South and Southern America. And we saw that we went to a lot of remote countries, and we saw how these communities are using technology to be creative, to just communicate to the world about where they stand, to be able to earn their livelihoods. When we talk about the benefits of technology vis-a-vis creativity, one thing comes to mind, right? That technology helps creative really expand the boundaries of what's possible. And that's what we saw in the remote villages of Puerto Norino, deep in the Amazon. Indigenous tribes were connected to the world because of Starlink. There were couples, young couples, who started hosting ecotourism experiences that they could now share with other people around the world and bring them home because they were connected. At the same time, in the remote forest and rainforest of Colombia, I met a shaman. This shaman would take hundreds and thousands of pictures of insects that were native to the Amazon, and he created a Facebook page and uploaded all of his discoveries. He's now working with a publishing house to create an informative book for researchers and people to know more about these insects. Technology democratizes creative tools. In fact, I argue technology...
Point of information, Asma. Could I just ask you to maybe explain the difference between accessibility and creativity? Because I believe what you're talking about is accessibility rather than creativity itself. So I would just like to know, what your thoughts are on that.
I'll accept your point of information, and I think that that's very key, but the way that you frame this sentence, right, it feels that you're looking at accessibility and creativity as two mutually exclusive units. But it's really not. I think when we talk about creativity, when we talk about as individuals that we want to communicate excellent ideas and solve problems, accessibility becomes core to it. You want individuals and entities to actually be a part of that creative solution. Otherwise, it will not have that kind of impact, which is exactly what Oxford Dictionary talks about when we think of creativity. So coming back to my point, technology democratizes creativity. And I, as an individual, felt it more than ever, because I started creating mini documentaries. I went to see rockhopper penguins in the far end of Argentina, and I made a mini documentary using Lightroom, Adobe, and CapCut. And I shared it with so many, or hundreds of my followers. I was glad because it was more than just my mother. But, and one other point, right? When we talk about technology, immediately the term art comes into place, because by default, we think creativity is about art. But let me give you an example as well. Panadol. I feel like I take it more now, given my age. Like, as I grow older, I keep on taking Panadol more. But they released this campaign, The Art of Release. They use artificial Gen AI to ask individuals, share a couple of words, what you feel when you're in pain. And the words that the individual suggested, based on that, they created amazing visualization, making pain personable to themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, let's acknowledge an undeniable truth about technology. it's a catalyst for creativity. It empowers us to transform ideas into reality, and this is what we saw about Huda Katan. We saw this through the Magdu app. We saw it with the Amazon communities that are now connected. It helps us amplify our true potential. To argue that technology hinders creativity is to ignore these profound successes. It's not the tools that you or I use, it's the way that we use these tools that makes us successful and creative. I'd like to bring it even more home because look at how you all are being creative. How is Saudi using creativity to really change the perception in the world? You are using digital storytelling, social media, virtual reality to actually communicate your culture and what you are all about. And each one of you is actually contributing it to the world. I urge you all to embrace technology. Use it as a tool. Unleash your potential. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Asma. That was amazing. That was so good. It was almost as if you've been debating your whole life. That was incredible. Two things I want to say before I invite Ariana up. The first thing is, these two individuals didn't get to choose what side they were on. So we selected a side for them to debate on. So they're not necessarily representing their own views. They're just taking a position for the debate. So remember that. And the second thing is, you may have noticed Ariana asking questions to Asma during her speech. And that is a really important part of debate. That's what separates debate from panel discussions or keynotes. It's the opportunity to have that live back and forth. So if you saw me clapping, I wasn't just really enjoying it, although I was. I wasn't just clapping along. It was actually to indicate that interruptions could be accepted or rejected. So we're going to now hear the counter-argument from Ariana Alexander-Sefre. Ariana is an incredible woman. She is an entrepreneur, a mental health activist, and a true innovator. She runs a founder and co-CEO of an app called Spoke, which makes mental health care accessible and available to everyone through music. She is at the true intersection of technology and creativity and is going to do a brilliant job today arguing against the motion. She recently won an innovation award. Spoke recently won an innovation award at the South by Southwest Music Festival. Not Music Festival, South by Southwest Music Festival. And when I asked her who her favorite innovator and creative was, she said Macklemore. So let's give her a huge round of applause. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to speak to you today, and I'm very excited to convince you that technology does in fact hinder our creativity. Thank you, Asma, for your fantastic points. I am going to offer a rebuttal. So I still think that how Asma explained creativity veers more along the lines of accessibility and ways of expression, which are part of the creative process, of course. However, I'd like to go back to the official Oxford Dictionary description of creativity, which is the use of imagination or original ideas to create something, i.e., inventiveness. So, over the next 3 to 4 minutes, I'm going to argue how tech hinders creativity with 3 main headline points. Number 1, I'm going to talk about distraction. Number 2, I'm going to talk about algorithmic biases. And number 3, I'm going to talk about dependency and our dependency on tech. So firstly, let's talk about distraction. I'd like to start this with a little bit of a metaphor that I think a lot of you might be able to get on board with. So imagine that you can close your eyes if you'd like. You can we could think of this as a creative experience in itself. Imagine your mind is like the ocean, okay? At the top of the ocean, you're in a little paddle boat. There's lots of little fish. The waves are chopping here and there, pushing you backwards and forwards. This is our day-to-day thoughts. This is what happens when we're thinking about all the things we've got to do. Technology sits up here because it helps with our ease of communication. It helps speed things up. Now, as you go deeper into the ocean, deeper into your mind, the fish become a lot bigger. And the fish represent how profound the ideas you have are. At the bottom of the ocean, where it is pure stillness, you find the biggest fish. This is where our most profound creative ideas are, in this stillness and pure clarity of mind. Now, that is what I think of when I think of creativity. And what technology does, because it is built to make our life more efficient and faster, it pulls us up out of the stillness into this choppy surface of the sea. So, for all of technology's benefits, tech keeps us distracted, and true creativity, as a lot of you know, takes patience, it takes perseverance, and unfortunately, tech is just too tempting for most of us to resist.
Point of information.
Please don't distract me right now, Asma. I will come to you in a little bit. Thank you. So the next point I'd like to bring up is algorithmic biases. And by that, I mean the algorithms that are keeping us, the content we're receiving, very, very streamlined. So I'm sure a lot of you probably have a lot to say about algorithmic biases. We see that more and more of the same thing. Now, creativity is the ability to problem solve and express thought in a highly original way. Now, each of us is incredibly unique. We each have something very unique to offer the world. However, we are getting the same information again and again in different ways through the algorithms that are baked into every single one of our platforms. That, by default, is affecting us. It is inspiring us with more of the same. So, in fact, this is hindering our ability to have genuinely original thought. Now,
Point of information.
I'll accept. Thank you.
Well, I feel that your argument that, real creatives are going to be distracted or are going to be like dependent and influenced by this algo bias, it's very reductive.
And I appreciate that it might be reductive, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So true creatives, actually, I will argue back at you. You've just said that true creatives will then actually resist technology. So that, in effect, actually argues my own point. So thank you very much, Asma. So with technology, we are all succumb to these algorithms, and we are at risk of being in echo chambers. And this can mean that we develop very similar ideas to others, and we are unfortunately not getting enough diverse thought. So the last point is dependency, and things like ChatGPT, for example. Let's be honest, a lot of us, because it is easier, we are outsourcing problem solving. So many creative tasks that you mentioned, Asma, there is a huge over-reliance on templates. Most of the tools we use for creative expression have templates baked within them. Unfortunately, this does encourage conformity rather than discourage it. And AI, as a lot of us know, is only based on information that already exists out there. AI does not actually create any original ideas, so we're just getting more of what's out there, but put together in different ways. So, and the one thing I will mention as well is that the rise of technology has been linked to a lot of social problems, including polarization and mental health issues as well. So, to conclude, I think you all need to really understand that technology hinders creativity hugely for the three reasons of, firstly, distraction, reducing our stillness of mind needed for creative processing, the algorithmic biases polarizing our consumption and reducing our original thought, and the dependency on tech, which is atrophying the parts of our brains that have the ability to problem solve. And one thing I'm going to leave you with is I am genuinely concerned about our brain's development when it comes to the dependency on technology. And I'm not sure about you, but I do not want to risk future generations' brain development just to improve accessibility and speed of expression online. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ariana. That was a brilliant rebuttal to Asma's points. So we have a few minutes. I'm going to come to the audience. So if anyone's got any questions, can you please raise your hand? And we have some people going around with some roaming mics. We've got some questions that have come through the app, so I'll get us started. But I'm really keen to hear from you. We're in this room. I'd love to actually hear your voice, not read what you've written on the app. So I'm going to start reading out one that's come through. But again, please do, if anyone's got any questions, let us know. So the first question is actually to Asma. And the question is, if creativity is helped by technology, do we feel we are more creative than previous digital humans? Very interesting. Is there more creativity now than there used to be? So as a reminder, the questions will be answered in the summary speeches. Oh, excellent. We have a gentleman over here who's got his hand up. Yeah, could anyone please get him a microphone? Love that. And then we'll come over here, and then we'll come here. Excellent. Okay. So if you can say your name so the speakers know who to respond to, and ask your question, please, that would be great.
Good afternoon, or was it good morning? I lost track time. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to ask a question. And I appreciate the presence and the efforts given here today. Could you give us live examples of how digital tech help or hinder our creativity, given our dependence on finding a working example of quantum computing and our reliance on AI to find that solution in order to save ourselves after possibly nearing destroying the planet in the next 50 years after the environmental impact, please?
Amazing. So we've got the elements of quantum computing, impact on the environment. Funny story, try and ask ChatGPT to explain quantum computing to you as if you are a 5-year-old. You'd think it would simplify it, but actually really doesn't. Okay, over here, please. Yes? Any chance we could get a microphone over here? Thank you. So we'll take 2 more questions after this gentleman. So I've got one here. And if anyone else has got any questions, let me know.
Yes, hi, Abdurrahman Hariri from Abu Dhabi, UAE. I do strongly support side by Asma. I do strongly think that technology does support and encourage creativity. My question is that how to utilize technology for youngsters who are very creative. I have a very good case in my family. My nephew is Zaid. He's very genius. And how to get more technology to support his creativity.
Amazing. So Asma, if you can explain how we help Zaid, that would be great. Thank you very much. Okay, over here, please. Oh, sorry, there's one just here. Down, yeah.
Good morning. This is Omega. Thank you, Ms. Asma and Ms. Ariane. My question is, in the context of creating an inspiration, because creativity, you should start with an inspiration. How do we use technology? Is it a tool, or is it an advantage, or a disadvantage for you to be able to use it to create an inspiration for you to, to be in your creative zone?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. Where does inspiration come from? And actually, can technology help us find that inspiration, or does it stop us? Any more questions? Okay, we've got one more. Yeah, let's go to this lady here, and that's our final one. I'm sorry, I'm just conscious of the time, and we want to make sure we have enough time for the all-important vote at the end to declare who the winner is. So please, tell us your name and what your question is, please.
Thank you so much for this chance. My name is Rima Mlefi, information technology fresh graduate student. Actually, of course, the digital tech is helping more for our community now and for other world. My question is for Asma. Why do you think the people have a concerns of speeding up in digital technology? Why it is a concern for such as people actually when we have now developing the AI? So why these all concerns have to getting up to the people? Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you, Reem. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you. Okay, I'm so sorry, we're running out of time. So I'm going to ask Asma to stand up. You've got 2 minutes. I told them they had 4, but they have 2. So you've got 2 minutes, Ariana, to make their summary, and no interruptions in the summary speeches. So Asma's going to speak for 2 minutes, and then we'll hand over to Ariana, and then we'll do the vote. And we can continue the debate afterwards. So anyone who's got any questions, please do ask us afterwards. But let's give a huge round of applause to close the case for the proposition side. Asma.
Super. Thanks, Scarlett. I'm going to be quick. I don't know if I'll be able to answer everything, but I do want to point out one thing which I thought was super interesting, right? The first question, are we more creative than previous humans? And honestly, like on a personal level, I think that the comparison is just not justified. We talk about tools, accessibility, what's possible now. They're just so vastly apart. Today's creativity is miles different. And we've seen it year after year, right? First, we got the car that came from the horse, and people rejected that as well. So as we continue to grow, the realms of creativity are going to be expanded, and we won't be able to answer that question really, is the next generation going to be more creative than us? In essence, I think you spoke a little bit about how do we create more creativity in kids. You talked about inspiration, which I think is spot on. I think ultimately, if I bring it all together, right, we talk and we need to identify and accept, right, the risks that are in technology. I would say 2 words, symbiotic creativity. Because ultimately, we need to bring in that humanity and work with technology to create that whole. We can't keep on moving forward if we don't have the technology to help us, because yes, speed is important. Moving fast is important as well. So this symbiotic creativity is really bringing in the best of technology to be your superhero. So we talk about Batman and Robin, right? Technology is your Robin and you are Batman. You're going to make that decision. So make sure that you bring in your authentic ideas and use technology as your Robin Hood to go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Asma. I do feel like Batman most of the time. So
right?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, and now Ariana, to close the case for the opposition and the debate as a whole. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. So I'd like to firstly address a question that was asked, that where does inspiration come from and how can technology help us get there? So I run an app called Spoke. It's the UK's leading music-led mental health tool. We work in technology, and using technology can help so many more people access a state of stillness, clarity, so that they can access that wisdom within, the creativity within. So I agree with Asma. Technology can be a tool that will help us access these more creative states of mind, but that's not creativity. That is help with accessibility, help with processing, even the question about quantum computing. We need technology there by our side so we can keep moving quickly. But the argument here is that creativity? No, creativity comes from us. It is this innate human ability to understand the world around us and problem solve. And then we use creativity, our Robin, to help us get there faster. The argument is that dual act, double act creativity? No, we are the creative people. We have that incredible consciousness and power. And that is the argument. And that is why I believe that tech hinders creativity. And I believe that that is the answer that all of you should vote for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ariana. That was a brilliant, brilliant closing. So, the final vote, the final act as part of this debate. I'm going to ask you all to reopen your vocal cords. And we need a little bit more energy than we had at the beginning. You've heard the debate now. You've heard both sides. So, if you agree with the topic that technology, digital technology, helps creativity, can you make some noise after 3? 1, 2, 3. Okay. And if you disagree, if you think that digital technology hinders rather than helps creativity, can you make some noise? 1, 2, 3.
Woo! Wow.
Okay. Someone had a microphone there, so I think we're going to have to do that again. It's too close to call. A bit like the Brexit vote in England. So, after 3, I need really loud. A bit like my friend over here. That was good. We need that kind of energy across the room. Okay, on the count of 3, if you agree that digital technology helps creativity, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and if you disagree, if you think it hinders creativity, 1, 2, 3. It's almost too close to call. I'm looking at Stephen. What do you reckon? I think it was just a little start again. Sorry, guys, it's the coffee break. I think just closely, we're going to give it to the opposition. Can we give them both a huge round of applause? I'm going to invite you both to shake hands, please.
Boxing.
Yeah. And as a reminder, they didn't actually believe the side that they were necessarily believe. So out of interest, what do you actually believe, Asma?
I'm a huge proponent of technology. Help all the way.
Okay. Ariana?
I work in technology. I'm a huge proponent of it as well. So, of course, I agree with every point of Asma's. But the more I researched my own points, the more I became very convinced with it, especially with the brain development part. So I would say I'm a mix between.
And actually, ironically, often when it comes to debating, when you have to argue for something you don't believe in, you're often more convincing because you're really having to convince yourself of it before you say it to anyone else. So next time you're in a position where you're having to present something or pitch something, try and take the alternative point of view to really practice that being concise and being impactful, because honestly, it makes a real difference. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all your questions. We'll be here afterwards if anyone's got any more, but enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.